What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So in this video, we are talking about growing older and realizing what's important. Okay. So yesterday was my birthday. Okay. Happy birthday to me. uh, I turned 44. All right. Um, and the only thing that I wanted for my birthday, and this has been this way for a while, honestly, but like I keep trying to stress it. The only thing that I care for at this age um is just to spend time. That's it. I don't need anything. The material things, presents, gifts, whatever, I don't need. um I just want to spend time with those that I care about and love, family, you know. And having a good time, because I feel like at this age, or the older you get, at least for me, um time seems, as they say, of the essence, right? Like you time feels less and less, so you want to spend as much time as you can with those that you love and care for. And because we grow up with this whole idea around receiving gifts on birthdays, even on other holidays and stuff. Christmas is all around wrapped in being gifted and stuff. Like we really probably seriously need to reconsider our culture, um and how we are ingraining that type of like expectation in our children, of always being gifted all these things. And but I mean, that's like a greater scale kind of. I guess it does start individually in the home, I suppose, or at least making sure that a child understands that the gifting is not the important part, whether we're talking about birthdays or whatever, or Christmas and stuff like that. Whatever is like it should be about your loved ones and family, and understanding that time is, as a kid, you don't think about time. You're just it's constantly just uh what can I get? How much fun I can have? It's just, it's like, it's constantly going, right. But uh, one thing that, again, that you learn as you grow over is that all that is just doesn't matter. Um, but we live in such a materialistic world. And honestly, it's really our Western culture, the that brings about this. Going back really to the elitism, and the haves and have nots. This idea of material things, and thinking that makes you worth more because of the more material things you might have, or the bigger the material thing, or the greater the material thing, or the more worthy or wealthy of the material thing. Like that's what has really driven and influenced the Western culture, um maybe more than anything else. Well, that and just power, and which all of that kind of ties in together: greed, power, material things, wealth. Like that's what has ingrained the Western civilization. That idea of, again, elitism, and like fawning for it. Like it originated in the higher ups, but over time it influenced even down below that. And it's like everybody is fawning for that lifestyle, for that uh, worthiness, I guess. um, and I find it more, even though it's something that is really, it's certainly like global. I mean, there's sentiment for it all over the world. Um, but that's like a real big thing. I feel that is huge difference between Western civilization and Eastern civilization. As Western civilization certainly leans way more towards individualism, selfishness, materialism stuff. Like it's all, you know, um, singular. Um, where I feel that more Eastern civilizations lean more into community, family, and trying to like raise the collective, do the better for the collective. It's a less selfish culture, in my opinion. Now, again, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist in the culture. It does, you know. Uh, it's just that it's more of a lesser importance. Um, and it's something that um, I think that has really driven the Western culture to where we are right now. The selfishness, the again the individuality, the which but also I think it has festered. Um, the counter of it has festered a lot more loneliness and depression, anxiety, stuff like that, because when we, whether or not you're actually being successful in that in this culture, or not successful in this culture, because while you oftentimes feel like the ones that are not successful, the ones that are quote unquote, of the poverty line of poor, you know, those that are successful would claim are failure, whatever the case. There's clearly, of course, anxiety, stress, depression, things like that, and because of the societal pressure for that type of culture. But it also even exists even in those that are successful, because you realize, I think there's many that realize that once they even get that success and have all these material things, they still aren't necessarily happy, because they find themselves that they're alone. They have burned all the bridges, or you have, screwed over friends and family and whatever to get all the success, more or less, probably. Not always the case, but I mean, to become like extremely successful in our culture, you kind of have to be quite a bit selfish in order to do so. Take from others in order to do so. Um, and again, I think it's something that's probably indicative from the way we bring up our kids, the way we bring up the society, and this idea of constantly receiving, that you need all these things. Um, and like in even our culture, individualism is like, like they'll pull yourself up by the bootstraps, go out on your own, be your own person, grow your own, wealth, or this is the fight or flight kind of thing. You're either successful or you're not, and it's all on you if you are. Like, it's not the idea is not that the family holds itself up, the community holds itself up. It's, yes, there is degrees of that, but it's not like in the forefront. It's not something it's more of something that, oh, we'll do this if we are in survival mode. If all thing else fails, if everything else fails, then we will try to maybe help bring each other together in family, community, or whatever, to help, the person, or the community at large, or whatever. But it's not until we're on the back burner of it that we are really trying to to do something about it. Um, and as I've grown older, I've noticed these things and I've seen these things, and it's made me question, like, uh, our our whole system, our whole culture, everything that we're doing, and all of these things that are happening with uh, having more and more wage gap, having more, all these issues that we talk about on this channel, uh, homeless, uh, you know, uh, the funding for things being cut all the time in favor of profitability for corporations and the ultra wealthy and all this stuff, like because of that selfishness, that greed, that desire for all this material things, or just money as a material thing, or wealth as a material thing, even though it's really just like a societal cultural, like, value that we've placed on each other. It's not really materialistic. It's actually just almost mystical, and but, but we've put such, you know uh, value in it that um, it's become an identity for us, that uh, that we need to have, that we need to have all this material things, we need to have this wealth, we need to have all this, that's the only way to be considered successful. um, and that ultimately fosters a community of that doesn't really help each other, doesn't really um, have compassion or support for each other. I mean, yes, there may be patches of it, but it's not a macro identity or a macro, like, philosophy behind our community. Is, where I see, like, it is way more prominent in the more Eastern cultures. Uh, and anyway, um, I'm just saying that we I feel like we're doing it wrong. I feel like we've fostered this whole system that is just, and we've created these ideas around how supreme it is, but it's like not really seeing what it's truly doing. Like, we see these uh, individual, like, anecdotal, like, successes, and make that as if it represents everybody, but it doesn't. It's a illusion that we've given ourselves, um and unfortunately, I feel like before we realize it, it's like too late. Um, if any of that makes sense. I've, and that's the reason why, as I've realized that, and as I've grown older and reconsidered what's important, have found myself concerning myself more with compassion and care for everybody, trying to lift up everybody if I can, or trying to create the idea, foster the idea in those that are around me and connected to me, to have more compassion for that, to care more about everybody. Stop demonizing and festering hatred towards certain people, and um, it's just because, why? What are we really doing? Um, So yeah. So now, yes, I concern myself more with just enjoying time, and that's what I just want to put out to people is to re-examine, you know, m- figuring that out as early as possible. I wish I would have figured it out earlier. And again, I'm not saying I'm just figured it out, but like it's it is something that while I have had this feeling for, you know, probably at least the last decade or so of my life, it's something that I still wished I would have been ingrained with or like would have identified way before. Um, because I feel like I did waste a lot of time. I still, even now, feel like I waste time, but some of that feels out of my control, though, also. But which, anyways. Um, so yeah, just what you can control, I guess. Try to, you know, make sure you have that time. Don't take it for granted, and you know, uh, maybe reconsider how much you're concerned with the material things, the how much you're concerned with receiving all the time or getting things all the time, or you know, and just enjoy your time. Uh, because once that is gone, it's gone, as well as the material things. So, you know, in the end, what you got to realize what is the most important thing that you spent your life on, the time with family and friends or the time with the material things. So, um, anyways, thank you very much for joining me. And if you like, if you like the content that I put out, consider subscribing, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. Uh, and I have all these channels over here. Check them out. If you like those, subscribe, like, share, comment all over there too. All that's free. Okay. And if you want to go further, there's Patreon there. $2 a month, support any of the channels that you'd like. And there's merch there. If you like that, get that. If you're a Patreon member, you get a discount on the merch. Um, but yeah, any support you give is very much appreciated. I thank you very, very much. And if you are returning, or if you're someone who comes back all the time, you're freaking amazing. Welcome. Thank you. Keep coming back because you're what makes JMD Nation and this channel and the other channels. So thank you. And until next time, peace. JMD for ClearTalk. I'm out.